So ritual is characterized by repetition. You do the same thing over, and each time you do it, there's this greater familiarity. If you do it with awareness, there's this greater familiarity and a deeper sense of connection with the function of the ritual if it's working really well. So ritual is kindness, and that is communication and connection, always. That's always the connection there. Ritual is kindness. Kindness is communication and connection. Kindness is always communicative in some way. So as the coffee habit, the morning coffee habit is, in some sense, could become a kindness. What other habits are there in daily lives that could become ritual goodwill? Taking your dog for a walk, you see that as a manifestation of a ritual that is already happening. That's already there, kindness ritual induced by circumstances and context. So that's a particular lens that we're bringing. It's a particular way of looking at how we do things. And then seeing that that is how we do things anyway. How can we think about that and incorporate that into new and different rituals, really simple ones that dial in the habit of kindness? That's how ritual works. The repetition is the mechanism that dials in the kindness habit. The more you do it, the more familiar it becomes, the less resistance there is. Kindness just becomes more obvious and available. That is why we have rituals in this sense. So moving this up one level from a literal kind of regular activity that you're engaging with anyway, you could think about it in terms of like having a personal trigger point for a ritual. And this is something that Jared would call a bespoke personal ritual. I love that. It's just such a great phrase. Like a specific kindness habit as a kind of like as a haute couture for your personal demeanor in some way. So you're making your own bespoke personal rituals. So for example, how about an appreciation ritual? Maybe you notice that you feel irritated or just even very, very subtly kind of slightly put out by a little particular habit that somebody has, for example, like say every time they fill the water jug, they leave it in some obscure, unimaginable place, and you have to go and look for it and hunt it down. It's like, where's the freaking water jug this time? So you could devise a personal ritual to be one of appreciation for every time that happens, so much so that you begin to do it yourself. And then you start finding like the most obscure place to leave the water jug until the whole thing just collapses in on itself and just becomes silly, ridiculous, fun. So that's a really silly kind of inconsequential, made up example. But you can use kindness as ritual to transform your constrained, limited response into playful enjoyment and appreciation of the other person's quirkiness. So, we all have these little things that somebody on Twitter says something in a particular way, and it just happens to trigger my personal irritation or whatever. So you get to know what those triggers are, and you can work with those. You can bring them into your own personal construct of kindness rituals. So you can see how developing this habit of kindness ritual as your practice could become a way in which you're in some way increasing your awareness in relationship, increasing your capacity for kindness in relationship with others, seeing opportunities to have ritual activity help you transform your behavior, your activity, and eventually lead into an enjoyably involved, habitually kind mode of interaction. So just thinking, you could take any area of your life. This is some concrete examples, any area, say driving. Okay, every time somebody cuts me up in a traffic jam, I'm just going to give some space. The ritual. and you're deciding it in advance. You've got intent, you've got your kindness intent, and then just because it happens, then your response is already dialed in. Just give them some space every time. Doesn't matter what my personal irritation is in that situation. I'm outraged because it's my space or whatever. It just doesn't matter, because you have your intent and your activity already decided there. That's what you're going to do. That's your kindness ritual. Every time I have a passenger in the car, I'm going to think about what their experience of my driving is. Every time I go to the grocery store, doesn't matter what I'm feeling, I'll just be friendly to the cashier. You know, any area of your life, just take one area of your life and just say, okay, you know, how could I dial in some kindness ritual here? It's easy, maybe. So the function, the whole point of ritual is that it keeps you on track with your overarching intent. You do it anyway, even if you just don't feel like it. It's not about repressing feelings. So the fact that you're going to do something even when you don't particularly feel like it doesn't mean that you're repressing feelings. So let's relate this to one of those examples, like say the grocery store. Supposing you got out of bed the wrong way, you're feeling mean or whatever, you don't feel like being friendly to the cashier this time around. This is about maintaining a discipline of behavior, even if you don't want to do it, in the same way that, say, like brushing your teeth. You still brush your teeth because you know that you'll get tooth pain, even if you don't really feel like doing it, because that's in keeping with your overall desire to have healthy gums. So this is a similar thing, but it's outward looking. It's similar, but it's in relation. So you're looking towards other people, and it's about your influence and impact in the world and in the world around you in context. So you have this grocery store situation where you're kind of feeling grumpy and mean and whatever. Now, if you've already been practicing that ritual anyway, you're going to get the checkout. Probably the cashier recognizes you. Oh, it's the friendly guy. Oh, it's the guy who always says hello. Oh, that's nice. Hi, how you doing? And that habitual interaction is already there. Maybe that's going to cut through your grump anyway. Or maybe it's a different cashier and you don't know them or whatever, and you're still feeling this kind of grumpiness. Your decision to just let that be as it is, but still just, with honesty, with integrity. You're not putting up a false front in some way. You're just accessing your friendly personality, right? You know how to do that at the same time as being grumpy. So you just do that. That is setting in a kind of positive feedback loop there. So it's about maintaining a discipline, even if you don't feel like doing it. So ritual has this kind of path dependency. There are positive and negative feedback loops. A good functioning ritual is a liberating positive feedback loop. So it's cutting through your negative feedback loops. It functions in that way. But the only way it can work is if you keep to the intent.